We're down here beside Moorehall Bay and Lough Carra, and it was George Moore who said that every man should have a lake in his heart, and the lake that we're looking at was a significant part of the Moore ethos, and in particular it was part and parcel of George Moore, George the writer, whose mortal remains are out on the island in front of us there, Castle Island, where it was placed in when he died in 1933 in his early 80s. And my father was part of the party who arranged for the funeral, and in a couple of boats, and there were only a few boats, and St. John Gogarty has written an article about the funeral of George up to the island, the cremation of the urn, the placing of the urn in the grave out on the island there. George Moore wrote a book called The Lake, one of his best books in fact, and when he was writing The Lake, the reference in the book are obviously reference to this area, maybe under different names, but you can still visualise the shoreline of the lake and in the text of the book. In the later years of the occupation of Moorehall House, they drew the water from a well that was out there in the lake on my right, and there was a little engine under the bridge, which is still there. The bridge is still there, and I saw my father making that engine work to pump the water up to the house. A very different lake to the lake that's in it now, a lake in which the fishing seems to be deteriorating from what it was, not only in the Moore days, but more significantly in my young adult years, and into a couple of years ago I fished the lake regularly, and there was very good fishing on it. The lake itself is a very distinctive type of lake with lovely marl bottom. So we've come to the end of our journey. We're on Castle Island in Lough Carra, a short distance enough from the shore down at Moorehall. And we're here because on this island in 1933 George was buried, and here we are beside his grave. He was very well known and famous for his writings in his day. To mention a few of his books: The Lake, Hail and Farewell, Esther Waters, A Dram and Muslin, and many, many others. To be prepared for his ashes, my father and Geoffrey O'Malley. Geoffrey was a well-known sculptor and monumental sculptor, and he cut a small rectangular square out of the rock here beside us, and had it ready for the urn when it arrived. And the reason why the ashes ended up here in the grave in Castle Island is that there was a discussion by George, and he discussed this several times and referred to where he wanted to be buried. He talked about he would be only being funny, and he was saying that it would be all right if they scattered these ashes among the donkeys on Hampstead Heath. Another suggestion he had was that perhaps his ashes should be scattered in Lough Carra, but my father and himself were out on the lake, and he suggested to him that yes, he would like his ashes to be scattered on the lake, but to make sure that the wind was blowing in the right direction so that none of his ashes would be blown back into the boat. Part of George's reasoning in selecting the manner and place of his burial was that he talks in his writings about being at the funeral of his mother up in the Killeen Wood, where the rest of the Moors are buried just down about half a mile from here, and he did not want to go into the family vault in the Killeen, or Kiltoom as it's called, and I'm not sure would there have been some objections to him being there anyway, because George by this stage was deemed to be agnostic, and whether he'd be buried in sanctified ground was another day's work. The inscription on George's grave reads, "Born Moorehall 1852, died London 1933. He forsook his family and friends for his art, but because he was faithful to his art, his family and friends reclaimed his ashes for Ireland." Vale.